Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am going to be working on the S14. I was actually painting my intercooler pipes, this wrinkle red, which I actually really like. It's just that the pipes were like, one was black on the cold side, and on the hot side, and then the cold side was like aluminum, and then aluminum on the Greddy intake pipe. So I kind of wanted it all, the same color. So that's gonna go in. Where's my other one? Oh, it's on that thing. So I got those done, but I was thinking, oh, and I also painted the strut bar. It was like this obnoxious, like highlighter orange color, so it's a lot better with the wrinkle black. I was almost gonna do it red too, but I felt like that was just too much red. Anyways, what I'm gonna do today is something I've been wanting to do for a while. If you look down there, the power steering pump has been leaking. I thought it was just the low pressure line leaking, but I wish it was. If you notice, I have two clamps on there. It's actually coming from the pump itself, because it's leaking down below onto my AC pump as well. So I'm gonna take this apart, and since I kind of have everything like this out of the way, I don't want to have to remove all the piping again. So we're gonna rebuild it, so that way I can get that off my list of things to do on the SR. And that way I can stop seeing little small puddles of oil on the floor, which is annoying. But anyways, yeah, so first I'm gonna remove this pump, and then I will show you the gasket kit that I got. Alright, so pump is out. Hopefully you guys have a new bottle of power steering fluid, because yeah, I was trying to catch it and it was unsuccessful. All the oil is now on the ground. So luckily I always keep a flat piece of cardboard underneath the motor to catch any oil, so I don't have to clean it off the garage floor. But yeah, hopefully you guys know how to remove it, because it's pretty straightforward. I'm just letting it kind of leak out the rest of the fluid on there, and then I'm gonna set up a little area here where I can clean it up before I disassemble it. Alright, so got most of it drained out. So I'm gonna do my best to record everything. I'm a very visual person, and there were a couple videos of doing this, but everybody that made a recording, including one of my buddies, B Taylor, they made one, but they don't actually show, they kind of show it from like afar. So, and there was another video where he kind of showed it, but it was so dark in his video that you could barely tell where everything was. I mean, you kind of had an idea, but I like to see everything as close as possible. So if you have an impact gun, now is the time to use it, because this one's an 18, which is a weird size I'm not used to. But if you don't have an impact gun, you're gonna need to put like a bolt through here that sticks out, and then find a way to clamp this like a vise. But again, best way is impact, because just like that, it's off. Just go drop your bolt like I did. There's that. And then sometimes, yep, should just come off like so. I'm gonna clean that. I might even paint that. If you look, the seal is definitely broken behind this, because there is a input shaft seal that, if it starts leaking, this is a good sign right here of this caked on gunk. So I'm going to actually spray this down a little bit. And you don't want to get anything inside it, so once I open it up, I won't be spraying as much. And that way we don't get that junk inside there. Just clean this up a little bit here. So before I remove the C-clip that you're gonna see right here, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit the back here and remove these, looks like 12mm bolts. Remove those first. Again, let me just clean this up a little. Okay, so you will have, oh no, they're the same. Yep, they're all the same. I always double check, make sure that the bolts aren't different. So before you take this out all super fast, you want to make sure you start taking everything out completely. You want to kind of assess how everything looks, make sure there's no gaskets anywhere that you might forget. Here's one right here, and then I know that this guy right here, that's kind of cool. So the way that this works, it looks like it uses centrifugal force to basically disengage these, let me see if you guys can see it here. So from the center, while it's spinning, it'll push these little veins out, and then they will slide back in, and it looks like it compresses it over here on this side. It's almost like a rotary design, but with movable seals. It's kind of cool. Important note here is, looks like the way that this goes in, you have to match it up with this right here, because these dowels hold it into place. And I'm just also going to note that, I don't know if it matters, I think as long as these are in the same spot, they look to be the same, but when I opened it up, the G is down here, and the, looks like a 3 is facing up over here. So if I'm looking at the bracket, I'm just gonna remember that the G is closest to this ear on the bracket. Just so you guys see here, this is the part number. I usually do OEM stuff, but they had this locally and I didn't want to have to wait since my intercooler piping was already out. But this is the part number 8820 for the Duralast seal kit, and yep, it looks to be correct. So now when I looked this up, I actually just looked up for the 95 to 98 pump. Yep, it's identical. And mine is on an SR, so I was afraid that it might be different, but it looks like they are identical. So a bunch of seals in here, O-rings, I mean, a new C-clip, and then this is that seal that goes behind the shaft. So, but before I start removing all that, let's do this. Let me get, I'm gonna grab a new little cardboard here to keep this all nice and organized. So let's take this out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, looks like there's also a little washer here. I'm gonna actually just keep this all together over here on this side, so that way you can see that they match up right here. I don't have to change anything on this, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And then right here there's one more seal, and there's actually a seal down here too, so let's get those out. And I'm also gonna remove this guy, so that way I don't forget. Let's remove this seal, and let's get a rag, clean this up, but that's pretty good for now. Now we can work on this guy here. So let me clean the outer portion of this. So let's try to find some seals for this guy. This looks like it's gonna be this one, but we'll take it out just to make sure. I'm gonna put all the seals and organize them all out over here. And I'll make sure not to mix the new seals with the old seals. I think it's time to remove this guy. That way I can just get all the seals at once. So I'll put that in the old pile here. Now to remove this, well, you know what? Well, before we do that, let me try removing these seals. So this one, yep. Dang, not really flattened out. So there's this seal right here, and the new one is right here. And then there's a seal in the middle. And that one looks to be this guy right here. Maybe this one? Yeah, it's this one. It's smaller. And this larger one can sit in here. There we go. And if you look, that fits perfectly now. So now I gotta go back to getting this off. Alright, so I was just trying to set this up so you guys can see here. I'm just using my little pulley puller here. Barely got it on the bracket this way. And we're gonna try to slowly push that through. Alright, I think it's moving. Yep, I think it's moving. There we go. Yep, if you look, the bearing is, here, let me do it from this way so you guys can see. The bearing is starting to come out, just like that. There we go. That's what we need. Alright, so got that out unharmed. We're gonna clean this up the best we can. And if you look inside here is where that seal is, and if you look, that should be exactly the right one, which is awesome. But before we do that, let's make sure this is nice and clean. Clean this on here. And the bearing's actually still, you can't hear it spin, and it's nice and it moves, but it doesn't like move too freely, which is perfect. Clean it up just a little bit more. Alright, so that's off, or that's all cleaned. So now, let me get my little seal puller. Don't want to go too deep because I don't want to. There we go. So if you don't have one of these guys, definitely pick one up because it's way easier with that little seal puller. Good, everything looks good. I didn't scratch anything, which is always a plus. And if you look, identical seal. Perfect. So I'm gonna clean in here a little bit more. Let's see here. You wanna find a socket that matches the approximate diameter. So if you look, that's close enough where you're not having to like accidentally mar the inside of this. So I'm gonna place this in here, just kind of get it started a little bit, and then I'm gonna use this guy and tap it in. And just kind of tap it till it's flush here, just like how it was. Alright, I think it's in there. So if you look, she's sitting in there nice and flush, and was a little bit, when I looked at this, it was in there just a tad bit more than being flush, so that way had some space between the bearing, so the bearing can move freely on the back side right here. But that's good. Now I'm also going to put a little bit of grease in here so that way it doesn't bind up with the the shaft when it first starts up, since there won't be any oil in it right away. Okay, so now that's done. Make sure we didn't lose the seal. We got that seal here. This one fell out, so make sure to put that one back. And then, before we do anything else, there is a this guy I need to remove. Like that. There we go. So take that out. And there's two seals here. Oh, there goes that one. And then same thing with this one. Just work your way around. And you should be able to take this off too. Alright, now that those are gone, let's clean this up. Should be the one down here. Come on. Yep, there's that one. And then this one should be right below top of it. There we go, just like that. So we got your lower seal, your upper seal, we got the seal that goes here, and the large O-ring seal right here. Again, let's make sure this is all clean. You're gonna line that up with that right there. And then that G, there we go. Perfect. So the G, and again, I'm not sure if yours will be the exact same as mine, but I always like to get those reference points. The G will be on the bracket ear down here. I got all my little paddle vanes, whatever you want to call them. They're all still in there because I didn't actually take it out of that little housing. Oops, let's not move that. Go. All right. I'm gonna make sure that lines up. So I might have to press this back. Yep. It's gonna make me press this back in there. Okay. Well, the best thing to do then is just to take this out again. And there's that seal again. Flip it back over. Put it back on here. Now I don't want to use my I don't want to use this outer edge as a means to let's go up a little bit. So I don't want to use this outer edge right here to clamp onto to push this back in. So I'm going to temporarily put this back on here. And there is only one way for this to go in, because if you do it this way, it won't line up. But this way, it will. So I'm gonna do that. Alright, so if you look, that worked. I had to like pick a little small portion of the bracket. So definitely leave your bracket on, because it's gonna help you press this out and press it back in. But you just have to go far enough where your C-clip can actually go in here. So if you look, the bearing, I just put it just right underneath the groove for the C-clip. If you can see right there. So again, I'm trying to make it so you guys can see, but some of this is really difficult. There we go. New C-clip is in. And this is still spinning as it should. Let's go ahead and remove this. This is ready to drop back in. Again, mine was G in that spot. And I'm gonna have to move, where's my pick? I'm gonna have to move this bottom one. There we go. So the bottom portion of this, you wanna make sure that it lines up with the dowel spots too, or else the cap won't go in all the way, and you just have to, you'll see when you do your own, but it's kind of hard to show on camera, but you'll see at the bottom it has a little notch as well. So, and I'm actually going to put some assembly lube on this, so that way when it first starts up again, we're not having any friction issues. Let's make sure these are lined up and that this goes on like so. Now I'm going to place it upwards here, and then we'll get our, oh, that's right, I need to put some grease on here with nothing in it. Okay, there we go. Make sure that's centered, and because there was no specific bolt to each corner, we'll just make sure we tighten this down nice and even. Okay, so I'm actually gonna find out the torque values and torque this down. Make sure it's still, yep, everything is still moving perfectly in there. Tighten this all up. Oh, there's another seal right here, and this looks like it's the low pressure side fitting, so we'll remove this. Looks like these are all completely hard and flat, so definitely something that needed to be done. So I'm going to put this together. I'm going to torque these down. I'll find out the torque specs here in just a bit, and I'll put that on the screen. That way you guys have it. Don't forget to clean your pulley up and then your bolt to put this down. Alright guys, so I got the power steering pump all installed, and at the same time I got all my intercooler piping and clamps all buttoned up. Good news, there are no leaks. If you look, I only have one clamp, and it's an OE style clamp, which is usually the best. I thought it was leaking from there, but it was actually the O-ring from the actual fitting. So because of the new O-ring, it's not leaking anymore. And then I was getting a bunch of stuff falling onto the AC compressor. I went ahead and washed everything just so that way everything's all dry and clean for the most part. I mean, it looks kind of dirty, but it's a lot cleaner than it was, just so I can make sure there wasn't any more leaks, and she looks good. So I'd say that was a success, and the engine bay does look a lot better. So hopefully this video helps everybody out. I know that these parts are getting harder and harder to find. So instead of having to source an SR power steering pump or getting your KA pump to work on the SR, which I know is a common thing as well, it's always nice that you can just purchase the 240 USDM parts and rebuild it, save you some money. So I will be leaving a link in the description for the parts that I purchased for this power steering pump rebuild, and that way if you guys want to do it for yourself and you have an S14 SR, I'm pretty sure it works on the S13 SRs as well, so that way you can get yours all situated. Since I am working on the 240, I wanted to go ahead and thank my sponsor for today's video. I wanted to thank AUXITO for sending me some LED headlights for the white Kouki. So they did send me some high beams and also some low beams, and they are LED. And so I will be installing them really quick here, and there will be a link on the description as well for these headlight, this company. Now, it's not just for 240s. If you guys have other cars, they have a wide list and range of LED bulbs for all makes and models. So check them out. I'm going to go and install these really quick. So I already installed my high beams. So these are 9005 on the Kouki, and at least on the USDM one. And then I have H1 headlights for the low beam. Now, to get the H1 to work, I did have to purchase these on Amazon. They're basically the harness plug for H1, and then I'll just wire this into my factory harness. So I'll show you how that looks here in a second. And yeah, so I wish I can give you a comparison, but I've already done like I said, the high beams, and I do have some aftermarket LEDs in here. They aren't super bright, but they do the job. So I'm glad that AUXITO helped me out and hooked me up with these. So if you look, I've already modified my stock harness, and I have an aftermarket LED on it already. But we're going to take that off, and if you look, it's just a couple spade connectors, and I did this for this specific reason, just so I can swap them out pretty easily. So now, and I did make a hole on here just so that way the fans that are on them will actually work and bring in some cold air. So the reason why we need this harness adapter is because on the H1 headlights, they have a little male plug, and on this plug, your outer portion here is a connection point. I believe this is negative or ground, and then this is positive. Now, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But when you get the actual harness for it, you're able to just plug it in like so, and it's ready to go. So I will be covering this up because I just don't want any accidental contact on the car or anything like that. But like I said, this should be ground. Positive should be right here, so you normally would be okay. But like I said, just to be safe, we'll cover this all up. And one thing I do love about these lights is if you look at this aftermarket one I have, it's kind of like well, one, it's pretty huge compared to the standard H1. And second, it uses this adapter, and this is what's supposed to go in to your kind of your socket and clamp it down. But the problem is, if this gets in there, I don't know if any of you guys have actually dropped this in your headlight housing. It's the biggest pain to try to retrieve. I've done that maybe like once or twice, and I'm happy that I don't have to worry about using that compared to something as small as this. If you look at the size comparison between a standard, this is about the size of a standard H1 headlight bulb. So to have to get something like this in there, it's nice that you can put this and actually still use your stock cap. And that's the reason why I had to cut the cap, is because this was kind of sticking out. With this, it still keeps the same size of the original H1 halogen bulb. So just so you guys can see the standard H1 in comparison to this Amazon unit. So you can definitely tell this is a lot larger than your H1 bulb. And this is much closer in size in comparison to the AUXITO. So yeah, that's definitely a plus. All right, guys, so this side's all done, and high beams are on both sides. Let's test it out. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. That looks pretty good. Pretty bright. And let me go ahead and turn on the high beams so you can see the high beams. Oh yeah, that looks good. super bright. Holy crap. Not that I ever really run the high beams, but you know, it is something where it's nice and safe to have them when you need them. All right, let's go ahead and turn these off so my battery doesn't die. All right. And she's good to go. Again, huge shout out to AUXITO and sending me their lights. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys, if you're looking for some lights, I'll give you guys my discount code, which is Drift Magic, on their website, and I'll leave a link to their website so you can check out some LED lights for your car. I know they pretty much have every light bulb that you'll need, and they look great, super easy to install. If you are doing this on your 240 and you do have the H1, like I said earlier, I'll leave a link for the harness that you need, and that way you can splice it into your original OEM harness. And the 9005, the high beams, are direct plug and play. Well, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. Later. Alright, so I just got done editing most of the video. As far as the audio in the last part of the video, I'm really sorry. I tried out that mic, and I don't know, I don't like the sound quality, so I'm back on my normal camera. But before I end the video, I did want to show you guys the lights with it a little bit darker out. I mean, it's not completely dark, but it'll give you kind of a representation of how bright the lights are. I'm actually gonna shut these lights off, and that way you can kind of see what it looks like here. And if you can tell, like even on front of our Benz, it's pretty bright. And it kind of looked almost, I don't know, when I was using the Galaxy, it kind of looked like a greenish color. But if you see on this camera, I don't know if it's going to show up, but in real life, I mean, they're completely white. So, yeah, hopefully this shows up a little bit better. Yeah, super bright.